As an advisor and a person, I can't give anyone specific advice. Individual stocks is not the way to go, in my view, at all, in any way, shape or form.
Yeah, you messaged me going, I don't like this one.
Nothing against the guy personally. Fundamentally, I disagree. And the reason why I do think I've got a dog in this fight is that I speak to people who are 40s and 50s who are like, I really need to retire. And then we unpack the finances. Oh, you've decided to be smart price Warren Buffett, and we've got a load of kind of different shares in a different point. And ultimately, it can really damage you to not necessarily get the growth that you want. The evidence behind it is that individual shares are a lottery. You know, I know you've done the Henrik Bessenbinder study effectively, but that effectively shows he looked at individual shares from 1990 to 2018. And what he found is that between 55 and 62% underperformed 1 month treasury bills, which is basically cash. So he's held it for 28 years. It's basically underperformed cash. Interestingly, only 1.4% of the stocks in that were basically part of the total wealth creation. So what that basically means between treasury bills. So basically what that means is the stocks, the 1.4 who did incredibly well, basically counted for all of the excess returns versus cash. What's the insight there? It's a lottery, is the truth.
Needle in a haystack.
It's a needle in a haystack. Yeah, it's the truth. And I have a money pit, and I call it a money pit. And sometimes my clients have money pits, which is basically I go, okay, investing can be entertainment. There's nothing wrong with that. It's your life. But the odds are stacked highly, highly against you if you're going to do individual stock picking. So why don't we just acknowledge that and have a little bit of fun money? But from a planning perspective, I'm the guy who has to sit in front of somebody and tell them whether they can retire, whether they can do the things they really care about. I do not think it's right to put that at risk. So what does the evidence support? It's basically your returns will be dictated by, as long as you're diversified. So that's low cost discipline, whether that's an index fund or workplace scheme, which is ultimately well diversified across assets across the world. Equities, all history shows you, has the highest chance of return long term.
So the stock market.
The stock market, effectively. Well diversified equities. I believe it's a wonder asset because ultimately what you're doing is you're owning fragments, little bits of the great companies in the world, ultimately. And it's one of the only asset class that can compound onto itself. So if you have a company that earns 20% return on equity, that then grows, the pie grows, and it compounds onto itself going forward. But what you're tapping into is the greatest minds in the world, effectively waking up every day with the sole purpose of profit. And you're able to do that with a couple of clicks and a button. So equities drive the returns. They also drive the volatility. You can tamper that volatility with things like bonds, properties, and all the rest of it. But that is going to take away from your return.
This clip was from an interview with George Agan, financial advisor, all about how to build wealth. For the full interview, click here.